saying, if these children of tomorrow were so awesome, you'd think they'd help us fight off Genesis with one or two of their giant floating cities. We are Arakko Public Radio, your favorite casual X-Men chat show, and this is episode 51. I'm that nerdy Papa Bear, and this is the man who fell asleep reading the title of one of the books this week, my one and only Comega mutant Keegan. I can't even remember what the Wolverine crossover is called, my friend. It is such a long title.
It's got too many words for how bad of a book it is.
Did you have a good week?
Yeah, I mean, I had a good enough week. It was mostly Baldur's Gate 3. How about yourself?
I miss having time for things like Baldur's Gate. I can't wait to try it out when my kids hit college. In this episode, we're talking about all of the comics that came out the week of August 9th with Immortal X-Men number 17, Children of the Vault number 1, and Ghost Rider / Wolverine Weapons of Vengeance Alpha number 1, plus, and I am sincerely sorry, Around the Universe with the Spider-Man Annual, very briefly. Very, very briefly. But first, we have our our second three-peat guest, SheaBearing, back to talk Fall of X. Please help us welcome, I already said the name, SheaBearing back. Hey.
Hi, y'all. How you doing?
Happy late Sunday night. You are our hero for still showing up after I dragged out the night a little.
Yep. Well, you know, East Coast got to East Coast.
So a lot has happened since last time you were here, which I don't even think was really that long ago. I think you were here for Shark Week. But
yeah.
Fall of X has begun.
And X has fallen.
Tell our audience, how are you feeling about the new era so far?
No, I'm really intrigued on where it's going, especially since they're not dragging out certain questions. Which we'll talk about later.
The pace, my God.
I'm excited about the pace. The Hellfire Gala shook me, but in a great way. Some characters are really set up for interesting things. As an Emma Frost fan, I'm a little bit worried about this whole wedding to Tony Stark thing, even though I have my own theories how that's going to play out. But, you know, we'll see.
I think she's had a really good showing so far. I agree. The wedding is terrifying, but every time she's shown up in the last few weeks has been an A+.
Oh, yeah, including this week. She's been amazing. Like, my girl's been getting highlights. And, you know, based on future solicitations, she's going to be doing more badass stuff across the Marvel universe. So,
absolutely,
that's exciting.
Yeah, slight solicitation spoiler, but just the last few days, she's a member of the Illuminati apparently now. She's in the new Thanos Illuminati event, so good for our girl.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we want to get into solicitation spoilers or not, but Jean Grey is also on covers again just in a couple months, so looks like she's coming back in some form.
Yeah, we all knew she was coming back. It was just a question of how. Honestly, I think it would have been more subversive if she didn't come back. But
that's fair. That's fair. But it is in Immortal, which is interesting. Immortal 17 has a really gorgeous variant cover of
Miss Grey. Gosh, so. I love Mark Brooks. And you know, who's more immortal than the Phoenix itself, rising from the ashes?
Well, and I think she'll fit in well with the cast we were given today. Should we jump in and talk Immortal X-Men 14?
Sure. Let's.
All right. Written by Kieron Gillen, drawn by Werneck, it picks up X weeks after the gala, just like the other first issues of the Fall of X books have so far, with a scruffy, beard-wearing Charles Xavier still despondent over the apparent death of all the mutants he forced through the gates. The gala is recapped from his perspective, and the guilt he's living with, assuming he killed all mutants, just drips off of him. Back to immediately after the gala, with Sebastian Shaw taking Orcus's mutant gene-removing injection as part of his partnership, before learning he did not gain the riches he assumed he thought through his deal with Mother Righteous. While he owns Krakoa, that doesn't include the finances, and when he confronts her over it, she just mocks him. He also finds out the Hellfire Club now belongs to Wilson Fisk, and he's taunted by Emma while at his lowest. Shaw explains to his new assistant, Shaban, that his real superpower is turning cents into billions, and he sets out to exploit Krakoa the best he can. His plan involves isolating and protecting it from mutants and Orcus alike as a fully protected asset of Shaw Industries while strip mining every natural resource. Excuse me. Shouldn't drink carbonated stuff. Weeks later, Shaw is informed Weeks later, Shaw is informed by his soldiers that they've made no progress setting up on the island because they are beset by monsters. Emma tries to reach out psychically to Charles, who just ignores her. Another of Shaw's landing parties arrives, and we see that the monsters are psychic projections he's creating to protect the island. The final scene shows Hope, Destiny, and Exodus in a desert after going through the gate at the gala. Destiny is distraught over not seeing a version of the future or her wife. Exodus realizes that all 250,000 mutants who went through the gates are present, and he gives the inspirational speech he was born for. They are mutant pilgrims and must head on to the promised land. When Hope and Destiny question if he really knows there is a promised land in the direction they're headed, he says no, but he assures them he has faith.
Well, my Sunday schools told me that, even though the people questioned their leader through the desert, they found their promised land. Only he didn't make it. Moses died, so maybe Exodus might not see the promised land either. So we'll see.
That scene was so dripping with childhood memory imagery from Sunday school. But it was also so good. The him standing there talking about faith with Destiny and Hope behind him was just such a perfect Kieron Gillen metaphor. I loved it so much.
Though one quibble, it's not all 250,000 mutants. That's just a small pairing. We don't even know where all of the 5 is yet. They're not with them.
That's true.
Yeah, he gives the 250,000 number, but because we know Forge is on whatever weird. So yeah.
And then we have Magic, who's.
Oh, I'm so excited for Realm of X. I know we're all excited for Dark X-Men, but Realm of X, that one looks so much fun for him. I'm excited.
But all that to say is I'm glad that they answered the question that really we all knew they weren't all dead, but I'm just glad they just got that out ahead of time to say Charles is wrong.
Yeah, I'm glad that Chuck is wrong and that the mutants are safe. I don't know which one I'm more happy about.
Well, I wouldn't say they're safe. They're just alive.
Well,
they're wandering around a desert with no food in gala clothing. Or
I live in Arizona. That's just a Tuesday.
You already live in the nowhere, no win, as the book describes it.
Over 110 degrees for 30 days straight, no problem. That's my mutant ability. Yeah, this is a super fun issue, though. I thought it was great.
Oh yeah, this was a blast. I liked even the recap of the gala was really fun. Just seeing Chuck, we talked about how angry we are at Chuck for so long. There is a real boost to morale to see him be the miserable one. His flashback to Destiny, asking him to protect Mystique, kind of recontextualized the scene of her throwing herself off the cliff in a way that adds yet another guilt pile to him. That he was doing what she asked, and it backfired massively.
It's really interesting too that he's the one without hope, and Emma's the one who's like, "Hey, they could be alive. I'm trying to find people," and it's just like a weird contrast because you view her as more the cynic, like the one who's lived through multiple genocides, and him, he's Charles Xavier, who the general public perception is the belief, the dream, and he's lost the dream, whereas she's kind of fighting for it.
Definitely good subversion of the expectations of the characters.
I also like the bit with Shaw and Mother Righteous because it just goes to show, like, when you're dealing with Fae and magic, you got to word it correctly, and magic always comes with a price.
Absolutely. Shaw killed it this entire issue. I felt like there was his reaction to getting his mutant gene removed, and though to be honest, I was never really a mutant. I just had a mutant gene. Was Tessa, when he wanted to call Shaban Tessa, the original Extreme X-Men, so was that 2001? That was Sage's cover alias when she was working for him. So I don't know if that's gonna come back around at some point, if his weird obsession with just calling everyone new Tessa is gonna bring Sage into his plot at some point. But I know Percy's kind of had a grip on Sage for a while, but him splitting from Mother Righteous already just completely splinters. It's so interesting that Fall of X has such a broad range of antagonists right now, because you've got, they're fighting off Genesis, they're fighting off Orcus, they're fighting off Shaw, they're fighting off, as we're going to talk about, the Children of the Vault. It's coming at them from so many different directions, and they're intermingled. They're kind of on paper working together, but it leaves the door open for so much to go wrong.
The team is just so spread thin right now. Like Cyclops is captured. Everyone's kind of underground, so communication's difficult. Yeah. Charles is having his blue screen of death moment. Storm and her team are up in Arakko.
I did like the reveal that he wasn't just still crouched on the beach, like despondent, because he was that heartbroken. He did at least was serving a purpose, that in his mind at least he was doing the most productive thing he could do by having the projected kaiju that were. Is this like a super obvious observation, or Exodus is leading them to revelation, right? Like that's going to be the twist, is we're all expecting Apocalypse to show up in X-Men Red, but the Promised Land is going to involve Apocalypse, right?
Well, he is showing up in Immortal, though I've had some theories that they're actually stuck in the White Hot Room right now. So it could be Resurrection, Phoenix.
That's I hadn't thought of that angle. That's definitely possible.
I mean, Exodus is literally going through his namesake right now, so
yeah.
It's like as literal as it can possibly get.
I like Apocalypse taking that name in was that in Red, or was that in the Before the Fall one shot? Whenever he took the title of Revelation, and I think that would be a fun twist. Is if and like you said, he's on the cover of Immortal coming up, so it's maybe not as
new X-Men.
That's true. I don't know if we, because of our delayed episodes, if we ever talked about that teaser, that at Comic-Con they threw a teaser of new X-Men were coming this coming spring, and it was in the Age of Apocalypse font. So
if he does save everyone, a new Age of Apocalypse with people potentially worshiping him as their savior.
Mm-hmm.
I still like the potential of Fall of X being followed by Rise of A. That would be a cool title for an era.
I think so too. There's a lot of really interesting potential, just because there's so many pieces on the board right now. Like there's so many villains that are doing things like we were saying, but there's also just so many directions everyone could be going. It's quite the map of possibilities when you look at it.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like how dark all the teams are going too. Like, obviously there's dark X-Men, but if you looked at Kitty Pryde's going Kill Bill on everyone. The preview for Uncanny X-Men, that team looks more X-Force than X-Force does. So
no, there is a lot of dark all coming our way in the next few weeks, and it doesn't seem like there's a glimmer of light for a while.
Children of the Vault, which we'll get to, is kind of dark with what Bishop and Cable were getting up to.
Oh, yeah, the entire population being infected by a brain worm might be the darkest of all. Like that's intense.
Really, just respect to Sebastian Shaw for dropping probably the coldest line of the week, of his mutant power being turning cents into billions.
Yes.
That was just cold, and I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah, he dropped cold fire like that a few times in this issue, where the reveal that the deal that Emma and Wilson were signing in Iron Man being him getting the club was a pretty cool reveal.
The question is if it'll come back to bite her pretty hard, which it's Fisk, so it will.
Oh yeah, it will. It'll bite her in the ass for sure.
One thing I have to say is Lucas Werneck, his art, chef's kiss.
Oh yeah.
The shot of Emma projecting to taunt Shaw was absolutely like page of the week gorgeous. Could be a pinup. It was so good.
Yeah. Werneck is just killing it.
I feel like that is what has finally vaulted this book above Red, because I always was I always was saying those were the two best books on the stand, and they were great for different reasons. But Red has gone through art changes, and I feel like the consistency of the art in Immortal is what is making it really the golden child, the top tier of the books right
Mhm.
now because it has been so well written and so gorgeous at the same time. Like they're hitting it from both angles. Is there anything to say on Destiny? Like her not seeing the future at all. They didn't use either of the imagery they had been using because
Yeah.
I made the observation a few weeks ago that what they made through Sins of Sinister, it was always all I see is black, all I see is black. And in the last issue or the issue 4 of Immortal, when the island took uh, Cypher, what's his first name? What can I?
Oh, Doug.
Yeah,
Doug.
when it took Doug into itself, and she was like, "All I see is white," which I was so convinced like there's importance to the color imagery there, but where like now she doesn't see any future at all. Is there anything
I
to take
think
away
what's
from
blocking
that? Or?
her is also what's blocking Xavier.
Makes sense. Well, and if you're right, if they're in the white hot room, then it would make sense that she couldn't see anything because she's in limbo essentially. That would totally.
She's in the white. All she's seeing is white.
Yeah, I think it's a
Oh.
lot of different powers are getting messed with that way. So
I like that though.
that is
That
good.
she was accurately seeing her own future, but it was. Ooh. That seems like a good note to switch to Children of the Vault on.
Yeah. I think that's Children of the Vault.
Written by Deniz Camp and drawn by Luca Maresca, opens with the eponymous children emerging from suspended animation as Forge trapped them in the pages of X-Men last fall, where they endlessly dreamed of a world where they'd won just outside the vault. Realizing they've been deceived, they return to the vault to report back. The story cuts to northern Chile, where a young boy tries to kill himself by drinking poisoned water from lithium evaporation ponds as one of the children's new technologically advanced cities floats past him. Cable, the old man version, is in Orca's custody and fighting a mind probe pretty successfully. All they've managed to extract is the thought, what is, which is his like 90s mantra. Bishop shows up to get him out. Cable psychically turns a squad of Orcas to assist their exit, though none survive when they blow the whole base up. A database reveals Bishop has been spending all his nights taking out Orcas sites and uncovering black sites they operate, including daycare set up to indoctrinate mutant hate in small children. The self-rebranded Children of Tomorrow debut to the world and promise to deliver future tech to the world in a speech that really mirrors Professor X announcing Krakoa in House of X. A montage of their good deeds follows, and public reception seems to be generally positive. Cable leads Bishop to one of his old bases, and after rearming himself, scans Bishop to find a contagious brain defect that causes the recipient, whoever has this defect, to like and trust the children when they take to the streets. Bishop asks, how widespread is it? And as Cable realizes every single person on the crowded street has it, he reveals far. So going in, this was probably the biggest question mark for me because I wasn't super familiar with the creative team. So I didn't know if I would be into this one or not, but I liked the concept in a broadest sense. And it basically, the first half is the Fast and the Furious Hobbs and Shaw movie, but with Cable and Bishop. But I thought it was really super fun, and it's a really intense premise.
Yeah, as a whole, the Children of the Vault have never actually interested me at all.
Kitty!
Never. Yeah, oh, this is Sansa. My cat Sansa is joining us. She's a baby girl, and I love her. But, yeah, she's interesting to me. The Children of the Vault have just, like, never really connected with me. I'm more interested in the dynamics between Bishop and Cable because their history is, as it talked about, very intense. And for viewers who don't know, you know, Bishop basically committed a genocide to try and kill Cable's daughter, Hope, to save the future. So there's a lot of bad blood. Which,
if you're ever like a reader of current X-Men and you're wondering, like, oh, what's an era I should go back for? The Messiah War era is a really fun era to read. So you should go back and read it, like 2008 to 11-ish, I want to say. Just
and it definitely influences a lot of why Krakoa exists.
And it's where Gillen first started writing in X-Men. His first stuff was all in that era. So
I will say I tend to agree with Shay. I'm not huge on Children of the Vault, like just in entirety, but this seems like it'll be fun, especially if they lean into like the whole, as you described, Hobbs and Shaw aspect of it all. I think if it turns into essentially unlikely allies buddy cop movie.
Well, I had to use that analogy because I know what a big fan of Dwayne the Rock Johnson you are, Keegan. So
I like Jason Statham.
Okay, so in my summary, I hammered home that it was Old Man Cable because we literally last month saw them also capture Kid Cable, and so I'm wondering if that's going to come back in this series or somewhere else. That like they apparently had both Cables and were torturing both of them, so it'll be fun to see if Kid Cable shows up because I love that guy. I do miss him as much as the old man is fun.
He did grow on me. Even I kind of just want to have them both at times because Old Man Cable's Old Man Cable, but like Kid Cable, I like his dynamic with his parents, and somehow him and Esme Cuckoo became cute, even though I didn't think it would. But that's just X-Men ships for you. It's weird. So,
do you want my theory on why that ship works? Because it got juxtaposed with Kid Omega and the Cuckoo like dating over in the Percy books, and it's like, well, if I have to have one Cuckoo ship, I'm gonna take Kid Cable.
Yeah, I have
that's
a lot
fair.
of angry feelings about the Kid Omega shit.
Angry feelings about something Benjamin Percy did? Never. Not on Arakko Public Radio.
He killed her sister.
I know. Okay, so you're both not huge Vault fans. I wouldn't say I'm like a giant fan either, but I do find them interesting. I feel like once Hickman did his playing with them, I became more interested. Like the original Mike Carey stuff, I hardly remember, but I did find interesting the members of the Children of Tomorrow that we see here. One of them was Ferro, Ferro, which seems to just be a merging of two of Hickman's, Perro and Fuego. And I'm really curious how that happened, like over, because they're just living as infinite amount of time in the vault, and apparently at some point, evolutionarily, two dudes just merged. Camp has given an interview saying the Capitan is super important, so I guess we need to pay attention to him. None of them really stood out as having personalities to me. It was all kind of generic super heroics as they were saving people. So
I do like how they tied it to like real world issues, like with the lithium mines and everything, and how people can take advantage of disadvantaged communities by offering them something, even if it's not always in their best interest, because it's better than what exists now.
If anyone's listening and doesn't realize it, the lithium ponds is 100% a real thing. If you Google them, the first article that comes up is a picture from Chile that like is clearly the reference photo used to draw that page, where like the water is that neon yellow, and it really is just killing people by the wildlife drinking it and then they eat them, but also they are so economically wrecked that people go and they drink it as a form of suicide. So like it is a 100% real piece of commentary. That there was some really fun stuff in here, also on dark topics, but really fun stuff. I really enjoyed in the data page where they're describing the like places he's hit. There's the one about the daycare center, and one of the books it talks about is if you give a mutant a cookie. And I love that because like if you give a mouse a cookie is like this really weird kind of, not grooming, but it is a really, it sends a really weird message to children about the idea of like welfare states. And so it is fun. It is fun to have the parody book that teaches kids that mutants are the enemy is such a direct title parody.
And you're a parent too. I'm a parent. I recently put my kid in a daycare close to one in Alexandria by proximity of being where I am in this country. But it's things you have to think about, like what is my child being exposed to?
100%.
And like what are our teachers teaching? I love the daycare my kid is in. It's great. She's like learning, but nice things like how to sing Baba Black Sheep and how to like people and love. But you're right. Like even the children's books we read today, like if you give a mouse a cookie, I hate the rainbow fish. I refuse to read it to her because that also has a very dark message if you think about it. Like give away all of the things that make you special in order to assimilate and make other people feel.
kind of like Giving Tree is one that I always think about
Yeah.
now as how messed up the message is. There's a lot of those out there for sure. My 4-year-old starts transitional kindergarten in 2 days, and I am absolutely terrified for that reason. But that is why I got on the school board, is so that I can at least be dialed in a little bit. So the other one I loved on the dad page is the one where he's giving the organismic analysis of the brainworm, and like part of it is the techno-organic virus, part of it's Helix, or Hexus, the living corporation, but one of them is Hoxpox, a created by Joseph Nathan Hoxman in the year 3019, a viral narrative, a story so intricate and adaptable it sprung to life. Hoxpox consumes, alters, evolves, and incorporates existing narratives into itself, including national identities, religions, and concepts of self. The idea that basically House and Powers of X is the main ingredient of the Children of the Vault is such a cute little like Easter egg they shoved in there. I love it so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other cute things I like are like how Cable just has safe houses that, because like he's a time traveler, he's able to invest in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the like classic airplanes and stuff just hanging out in his hangar. Yeah. So good. Well, and the line about, oh, that was my favorite arm, and they blow up the base, and then you find out he's literally just got all these safe houses where he can get a brand new arm whenever he needs one. Yeah. So apparently it was his favorite for purely sentimental reasons.
Never change.
I'm really curious how much a few things we're reading, but are going to tie into the overall like Fall X narrative. Like, as of this, we don't really see a through line from Orcus to the Children of the Vault's plan. In fact, it seems like the Children of the Vault might run counter to what Orcus wants to do themselves. Like, it's kind of just a coincidence that Orcus shutting down Krakoa happened to free these guys. So I'm interested to see if that plays a part in this at all, if they end up playing them against each other in some way or something, because...
Yeah. As a character-driven person, I'm really curious to see how this will eventually tie with X-Men and Immortal, because as Bishop tells Cable, everyone you love and know is dead. So, like... And, like, we know that's not 100% true. You know, Scott's kidnapped, so Cable's dad's kidnapped, so someone has to rescue him. Cable's daughter's somewhere in a desert. His adopted mom is dead, but she'll be back. I don't really know if he has a relationship with Maddie. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say his bio mom is getting a glow up. Like, she's basically taking mom's place in the new Dark X-Men team. But I don't know what kind of relationship he has with her either.
You know, if he doesn't want to connect, I understand that. You know, if my dad tried to sell me to Satan, you know, I might go non-contact.
I have a feeling I wouldn't really be urgently getting on Ancestry trying to track her down at that point. All right. I don't want to say, do you want to talk, but are you ready to talk? Ghost Rider / Wolverine, Weapons of Vengeance, Alpha number 1.
Yes.
Written by Benjamin Percy, drawn by Geoff Shaw, opens this crossover within a crossover Fall of X tie-in, I guess, by catching us up with Johnny Blaze, who is totally being a lone wolf, drinking a beer while reminiscing about how lone wolfy he is, when Wolverine, the ultimate lone wolf, shows up and warns him that something is happening again, so they need to work together. Many years ago, a social worker brings a boy, Bram, to see Charles Xavier, but Wolverine thinks the kid is smelly. Charles invites the kid to come meet the X-Men, but once he reads the kid's mind, he realizes he's not a mutant. Something darker is going on. They send the kid away, but Chuck kind of tells Wolverine, man, I wish we could help this kid. Wolverine just calls him Stinky again. Young Johnny Blaze is getting ready to do a super tough stunt, but when he sees a demon as he's mid-stunt, he crashes. Back at the orphanage, Bram is upset, and then all the other kids are killed and arranged in like a gore spire in the middle of the orphanage bedroom in the middle of the night, and Bram just left out the window. Back at the mansion, Logan is distracted playing chess with Peter. It's raining. The power then goes out. The front door swings open. It's Bram. Wolverine comes back from the basement with candles, and there's a demon just tearing up the mansion. Wolverine attacks the demon to no avail, and when he goes for the boy standing behind him, the demon grabs him up and runs off with him. Johnny wakes up in the hospital and the writer is chomping at the bit to get out because they see on the news about the orphanage thing. Chasing the demon from separate directions, Johnny and Wolverine, both riding their sick-ass hogs, run into each other, and not understanding the situation, they brawl. Meanwhile, the social worker finds Brown on the side of the road and promises to help him stop murdering stuff. In the present day, Logan and Johnny decide they'll have to ride together one more time.
So is this kid Lord Voldemort?
I think he's supposed to be like
a
the
real
kid from The
Damien.
Exorcist.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a real
like
Damien type.
from The Omen.
Wow. So
I
overall,
intentionally didn't read it. So this is
Man,
all on you.
if I could only say the same, how envious I am of you.
So overall, of the Percyverse books, I'm enjoying Ghost Rider slightly more than both of the X books. I have been forcing myself to read it, knowing that it was gonna tie in here, and it's been a little more enjoyable because I feel like his over the top, like grappling every single issue with the "I'm the lone wolf, I'm the loner" thing just fits Johnny a little better and feels a little more in place there for me than it does with Wolverine, who should definitely be more well-rounded. This was one of the most overwrought issues I've ever read of a comic. It was so
stupid. Like, it was so genuinely stupid.
Between the two and X-Force, Percy has spent basically 60 issues telling us about how these guys don't like working with others. Their entire identity is wrapped up in them being these like self-hating solo acts. And so it just seems so forced to be like, but this time they have to work together because they fought this demon child once before. I want to say, I think you coined it when we first got this announced. Weren't you on when this first was revealed, Shay? And
yeah.
We were reading the like synopsis of it, and you were like, that's the most Gen X description ever. And that's all I could think. Like, the scenes of the two of them on their Harleys, like, headed right for each other, just screamed, like, yeah, that's what some dude born in, like, 72 was, like, writing in his college notebooks, thinking was, like, the definition of badass. It just...
You know, Gen X gonna Gen X.
It's true.
Any thoughts, Keegan?
Oh, man.
You know, it's a sign of each other that you're willing to read this.
Yeah, I mean, so like, I was trying to hold out hope for this book. I was hoping that, like, if you take a bad book and you take a bad book and you put it together, that maybe, just maybe, you'll get something that's like cheesy fun, like a real Mission Impossible 2 of a comic book. But no.
Well, I feel like you and I both have issues of his stuff where we're like, you know what, I liked this. This had the parts of his writing that I enjoy. When, like, there's a way he can go over the top enough and be self-aware enough to make fun of himself that a Percy book becomes enjoyable. And I think I was with you, Keegan, where it felt like, well, maybe he's going to embrace those aspects of himself here. He didn't. At least not yet.
Not yet. I'm hoping for it, but...
So here's my big fear, you guys, and I might edit this out, I might leave this in. So next week we have Nikhil Clayton as our guest, and that dude really, really likes Benjamin Percy. And among the like 9 books out next week is Ghost Rider. So we might like brainstorm we're doing 2 separate episodes or something, Keegan. Like we might like split the books and like try to record like half the books with him and then half the books with a different guest or something.
That, or you know, we can
just talk about Gambit the entire time.
That is why I invited him because it's the anniversary and because Dark X-Men won, so we do get to talk Gambit a bunch. So it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. But
so are you all going to talk the Love Unlimited comic that's been out too? Because it's really precious.
No, but that does it have another issue this week? I always lose track of how Unlimited's timing works.
Yeah, I think it's weekly.
Okay.
It's like on Thursday.
We're about to go around the Marvel Universe, and we can definitely talk about it so far when we do that, because I hate to say I've been enjoying it, but I have been enjoying it. It is a sweet story.
It's really precious. This is how they should be written, damn it.
All right. any other thoughts on Ghost Riders? Wait, let me get the whole title. Ghost Rider / Wolverine, Weapons of Vengeance, Alpha 1, Keegan?
You know what? I think I don't have any more thoughts on that.
All right. Around the Marvel Universe. Woo! Woo! Did either of you read the Spider-Man annual?
No.
I didn't even realize it came out.
Yeah. This next week's another one. I didn't even bother putting it on the list because they're not worth. But okay. So
I've seen pictures of it on scans on Twitter, and it just basically told me that I don't want to read it just based on the few scans I've seen, especially the sad MJ ones and the one of Kamala making the X symbol.
Oh, no.
Doing on all the art.
Those are from the Amazing Spider-Man issue, which was also not very good. So this is from
I get them all mixed up.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So this is from the Contest of Chaos. Is that event that's all the annuals? Yeah, it's all the annuals are like a different random matchup between two heroes. Yeah. So this was the first one, and so it was Wolverine versus Spider-Man, which is why we have to talk about it, because it was Wolverine. I have no idea where this takes place in relation to Ghost Rider / Wolverine : whatever Alpha. But so they both get transported to like this Mayan-looking temple and have to get the MacGuffin that like makes them the chosen one or whatever. And they're confused at first, so they're brawling, and then they're under the influence of the MacGuffin. But Spider-Man's the one who like breaks through it, and he's like, "Wait, Wolverine, don't take the thing. Like, this isn't like us. Something's controlling our brains." But then Wolverine takes it, so Wolverine wins the matchup, and the end of it is seeing Agatha Harkness like pulling him towards her, and he's in like this purple, like evil outfit. So apparently that's what this event is going to be. Is every one of these issues, the victor becomes one of Agatha's slaves. And then, as you assume at the end, it's going to be the two teams. Like the losers are going to have to fight the winners to stop her evil plot. You know, when people talk about how contrived and stupid events are, I feel like this is going to be the new like poster child for how pointless comic book events are and how much they have no reason to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I didn't put it on here, and Shay, you brought it up. Much better option to talk about for Around the Marvel Universe. The X-Men Unlimited love story. What is it? Is it just called Rogue and Gambit? Is it X-Men?
Yeah, I mean it's not specifically X-Men because it's part of the whole Love Unlimited series, which has
right. It's the Love Unlimited. That's why I had the love in my head.
Yeah, I think Carol and Rhodey were the couple beforehand, which that one was poorly written, but this one is actually really precious. If you're a fan of Rogue and Gambit, it's actually how the characters in the couple should be written. They're like sweet, they're sexy, like they're having fun doing thievery.
I'm a Rogue and Gambit hater, and I have to admit I'm enjoying it. It's a really cute. I only read the X-Men related Unlimiteds for the most part. I skip most Unlimited, so I've only read a few of the loves, and the Rhodey and Carol one. I've seen a lot of negative stuff on Twitter, so I didn't necessarily know what to expect coming into this one, but it's really enjoyable. I'm really enjoying it. Keegan, you don't read the Unlimiteds very often, right? Because the app, like in the vertical scrolling and all that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of reading digitally in the first place, and reading on the app is not fantastic, so I just don't do it.
You know, that's valid.
I fall behind on a lot of them. Like, I still haven't finished Green, which I have had multiple people tell me I need to finish Green. It's supposed to be really good. But I'm really enjoying this. The other one I really enjoyed that I don't know if you ever did you ever read the Wolverine road trip one, Keegan?
The Family Snicked? That
one? Family
or...
Snicked.
I read a couple of it, and then I fell off because, again, the app is clunky.
Yeah. That's one worth going back and reading. I really like Family Snicked. That was cute. All right. You ready for next week's massive list?
It's such a big list of comics.
And we realized I left one off because there's the Storm versus... I don't remember who she's... is it Storm versus Iron Man is the annual?
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Storm should theoretically win, but...
She should cook him inside his suit.
Yeah, it should be a 2-page comic, but that's okay. Next week, we've got Alpha Flight #1, Dark X-Men #1, Uncanny Avengers #1. So we've got 3 of the major Fall of X launches all together. We've got X-Men Red #14. We have the Marvel Voices X-Men one-shot finally coming out. And then the second issue of the Days of Future Past mini, which if you don't want to read, Keegan, you don't have to read. I will just summarize very quickly. Yeah. And Ghost Rider 17, because we have to read it now because it's part of Ghost Rider / Wolverine : Weapons of Vengeance.
Maybe you should split that up into 2 weeks. That's a lot to discuss.
It's a lot.
I think there's a really good chance we will at least have 2 recording sessions, and we'll decide if I'm going to edit that into one episode or release it as like 52A and 52B. Because that's the other thing about it is it is our 1-year anniversary. Also, it is our big celebration, which is insane to think about. And it feels like we cheated a little because we weren't out weekly the whole time, but we always had a good excuse when we weren't. So maybe we'll be giving you 2 halves of that. Somehow we're going to get you all of that content in some form or another.
You know, if this were a DC podcast, you'd be going really ham because 52, that's their number.
Yeah, you're right.
True. You know what we should do, Keegan? We should not talk about any of those, and we should just talk about 52. Our favorite alternate DC universes. Oh, I love 52. Definitely my favorite of any of those like weekly attempts that have ever been done. Which I guess there's only been a handful, but I loved it. A whole year of weekly comics. Shay, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for staying up late. We definitely kept you up later than we meant to, so we're super grateful. Where can people follow you?
Well, when I'm awake, follow me on Twitter and TikTok at SheaBearing.
Fair. Keegan, anything else you want to talk about? Late breaking news, gossip, anything of that sort?
No.
Then we will see everybody next time. Our lives are still crazy. You're getting this one late because stuff's crazy, so yay. My wife starts teaching this week. Keegan's already teaching. Stuff is chaos. But we love you all, and we will always eventually get you us talking about stuff. I'm that Nerdy Papa Bear on all of the socials. Keegan is Bulk Ranger. And till next time, somebody let Chuck know.